Alright, welcome back to episode 4 of our early game exploration on the way to take out Margit the Fell in Elden Ring. So we just made it to the Weeping Peninsula, running past the Bridge of Sacrifice. Then we're going to backtrack a little bit and murder everybody on that bridge. We kind of ran away like cowards when they were attacking us as we were heading to the Weeping Peninsula. Now we're just going to head up there and kind of smash our way through them, using a combination of jumping attacks, guard counters, all the usual bag of tricks to kill. There is a pile of smithing stones on one side of the bridge. Make sure to pick that up on your way across, as well as some smoldering butterflies, great for making fire pots. But yeah, this is generally just a get good practice fighting people sort of portion of the progression here. Then we're going to turn around and head to the south. There'll be a NPC under there. Chat with her for a little bit. Her dad's the boss of a fort further to the south that we will also be going to eventually. She wants us to give a letter to him. We'll agree to do that. But then we're just going to continue traveling down to the south. And a little bit down the road here is the weapon we will use to kill Margit. So there's a nice little set piece here that's got a wagon, a troll, a bunch of dogs, some resting guards, and a pack of misbegotten. Just a whole bunch of trouble here. The item in question that we're going to get is in the back of the wagon, and we'll get to that in a little bit. First order of business, off to the left are a couple of dogs. It's best if you can get them one at a time. I kind of am getting impatient here. Really bad idea in Elden Ring. But get lucky and I'm able to take them both out with a single stamp upwards cut. They would have messed me up if I didn't do that. Dogs, like rats, are kind of pretty easy candidates for just guard counter and, yeah, block with your shield, guard counter. That usually works well one-on-one. Packs are a little trickier. Lock on is your friend in little areas like this to help you see people. So there's a sleeping guard over there who's slumped over. We're going to sneak attack him. And then when his best friend comes to kill us during our backstab, we will punish them as well. Then we're going to go to the back of the wagon and get what we came here for. In the back of said wagon, we have the Morning Star. The Morning Star does blood loss build up, scales pretty well with strength, and we are going to put wild strikes on it shortly, and we will use that to basically kill people with blood loss. One of those people being Margit the Fell. Now, there really isn't anything much special about the Morning Star. It's a pretty basic hammer. It has very low prerequisites. Pretty much anyone can use it relatively easily. And it does take the Wild Strike's Ash of War. And when you have that on there, you can buff it further with Blood Grease or weapon buffs like Blood Flame Blade. It's a good starter status effect weapon for a lot of builds. Next up, we got another pack of dogs and a troll. Since there are 3 dogs, we don't want to aggro them all at once. We are going to remember we have fire pots here. I'm going to start hurling those away at them to take out the little puppers, and then we'll go after the troll. In this troll, it's a little tougher than the ones pulling the caravan that we've seen earlier, but it's the same general recipe. We're going to stance break him by hitting him in the legs twice with stamp upward cut. Crit him when he's down, repeat it again to stance break him again, and just, chop away until he's dead. There's a little soldier next to him who's laying down on the job. We will punish him with a sneak attack for that lack of diligence. Then as we continue to the south, there's going to be a large pack of these winged, you know, more creative than the demi-human goblin things. These things are called misbegottens. Well, some of them have wings, some of them don't. They're, yeah, on that goblin-y spectrum, though, but a little more creative. But there's a bit of a theme with these guys where you run into large packs of them, and like packs of dogs, you want to draw them out one at a time rather than getting chopped down by a pack of 5 of them at once, which is probably how they were able to take over this entire area of the game. So we're going to one-shot the ones we can with our remaining pots, then sneak up on the second to last one with backstab, picking up a valuable smithing stone too along the way, and then we'll wait for his last compatriot there to get angry at us. These are guard counterable like guards, so guard counter them away to kill them when you got them one-on-one. We'll hop back on Torrent, keep heading to the south. There's a dung beetle with an ash of war in it. It's for bows, or as I like to call them, shittier than magic. So we'll just ignore that we got that and continue going to the south. Pretty quickly, we're going to run into a Site of Grace with a merchant next to it. Gonna level up Vigor at the Site of Grace, and then this merchant actually has some interesting things to buy. So we're gonna clear out our inventory, sell a bunch of crap so we can buy some less crappy things. So this guy's got several smithing stones that are worth buying. Looks like he has a crackpot too that I don't buy for some reason, don't know why. He also has the iron helmet, which is a helmet I like the look of early on. I don't like it as much as the Kaiden helm, but I think I buy it here. And then I realize that it is too heavy.
Finished yet?
So I mouse over it, see it'll take me to heavy load, and get a little bit of a sad, but we'll keep pumping endurance, and eventually we'll be able to put that on. There's a Night Rider boss right here in this area if you come here at night. We're lucky in here at the daytime, but at this point in the game I would recommend resting until it's daytime to pass through here. You might be able to take him out. I usually like to wait until a little bit later though. So I'm climbing up a little hill here, gathering up some crafting ingredients on the way, because somewhere as I hop down here I know there's going to be a little golden tree with a golden seed that we'll use to upgrade our flasks. And way in the distance there's a golem archer, so I'm kind of being cagey about this and coming around this way just to delay how soon he can see me and start firing one-shot arrows of death at us. So I pick up that seed, and then way off in the distance with glowing red boots you can see a giant golem with a bow. He's going to start shooting at us pretty soon here. So as we head down in that direction, we kind of want to stay behind ruins and other things like cover, other sources of cover to block the arrows he'll be shooting at us. And we just get really lucky on this rundown to him. He apparently doesn't notice us at all. And we're going to circle around behind him and take him down with, kind of in the same way you take down trolls. Attack the feet till they stance break. They'll get a glowing spot on their chest where you can crit them, and that usually one-shots these golem guys, be they the archer or the halberd variants. And he dropped his great bow. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. It might be good, but it's also a bow, so it's probably not. That guy doesn't respawn, by the way, so that's the only time we have to take that particular golem out. Golems in other areas sometimes respawn, sometimes they don't. Just depends on which one. So just to the south here, there's a castle that's kind of a mini... it's not quite a what they call legacy dungeon, but it's pretty close to it. It's got a nice boss and a nice treasure at the end. We're not going to do it yet, but we're just going to hop in the front door and pick up that site of grace so we can come back a little bit later. Going to do a tiny bit more exploration down here just to pick up a few odds and ends. I don't have a map for the area, so we're going to get that soon too. Over to the right in the distance, there's some glowing red guys, spirit jellyfish that are hostile. Normally they're blue and they're not hostile. These guys are red and angry, and they're guarding something behind them. I forget exactly what it is, so I run up and get it, and it's a somber smithing stone, which is not the one that I want, and an arteria leaf, which I can sell at least, so not a complete waste of time, but a little sad. Then there's a poison swamp. These yellowish, greenish sort of water areas, they are poison. Torrent doesn't get poisoned. Great news for us. We can just ride up through that area. There's a bunch of zombies and stuff like that down in there. They are not worth fighting at all. There is a golden rune at the base of one of the crucifixes up on one of the rock formations here, and we'll pick that up while we're here. There's also a giant crab, and they're a pain in the butt, so we're just going to run away from all that nonsense after we grab the loot up top. Then we're just going to head generally in a north direction back towards the merchant where we got the helmet and the smithing stones. Eventually we'll run into the pillar that has the map fragment for the Weeping Peninsula on it, and we'll make sure to pick that up while we're here. Continuing to the north from the map fragment, I see the Knight Rider to the north that I was telling you to avoid earlier. I'm going to take my own advice here and hop back to the Church of Ella. And once I get there, I am going to upgrade the Lordsworn Greatsword a little bit more just to give it a little more oomph. And now I'm going to kind of go and start clearing out some of the early game starter dungeons. There are a couple that I skipped that are kind of right in the beginning areas that I'm going to go back and do now just to make myself feel powerful. You're supposed to do these at a lot lower level than I am probably, but I like feeling like a boss, so now that we're over leveled, we're going to go have ourselves a time in these caves. So to the left of the very first path we took to get to the Gatefront ruins, there's a little cave called Groveside Cave. It's very short, doesn't have a ton of enemies in it. It has a cracked pot, which is useful for those little fire pots we've been throwing, and yeah, it being short is kind of its main selling point though. Really intended as the first cave you're meant to go into, I think. So we're going to enter it and touch the site of grace. And dark caves like this, you can use a torch. I'm not bothering for now. We'll get a lantern later. But we're going to essentially take liberal use of lock-on in caves like this to attack enemies. So as we go down into the cave, eventually we'll see a light source from a fire. There's some wolves around it. We're just going to take them out by throwing fire pots. Not going to mess around with getting surrounded by a pack of those guys. Any that make it into melee range, cower behind your shield and let them attack brass. But if we continue down the path, going around to the left, there'll be a few more wolves. Try to take them down one at a time so you don't get surrounded. This is the area we were throwing pots down into earlier. And eventually, after picking up all the crafting items in there, there's a purple item that is a cracked pot that'll add to our ammunition for fire pots. So just we'll have a bigger stack of fire pots that we can craft in total. After scoring some pot, we head back the way we came, and then there is the yellow fog wall that leads to the boss store. We're going to pop our physic flask before we head through that to buff up with that. And then as soon as we step through, we're going to summon our wolf buddies. And at this power level that we're at currently, this guy is a walk in the park. wolves are going to mob him. While they're mobbing him, we're just going to hit him with Stamp Upwards, I think 4 times, and he's going to be dead. Don't need to dodge or anything, just keep wailing away and he'll die. And our reward for this is a talisman that grants us resistance to fire damage. The low-level versions of these are spectacularly useless, in my opinion. The high-level versions are great, but these low-level ones give you, I mean, the amount of damage resistance they give you relative to the frequency you run into those damage types, it's so little that you almost never want to use them. Just sell them. Treat them like a giant golden rune. The ones you get later on are much, much better, but these early versions are not worth it at all. After taking him out, I warp right back to the Church of LA, where I realize I never put an Ash of War on the Morning Star I picked up earlier. So we're going to rest at the Site of Grace. We're going to go to the Ashes of War menu, and on the Morning Star we're going to put up the Wild Strikes Ash of War, which we picked up in the 2nd episode, I want to say. But yeah, that's going to be the Ash of War that makes it swing really quickly, or faster anyways, to apply blood loss buildup more faster. When you apply that, it gives you this option for infusions. It says standard or heavy. That affects what statistics make the weapon do more damage. We want to do heavy because we're mainly going to be using this with our strength knot tier, which has a lot of strength. So yeah, heavy infusion will make it do more damage with lots more strength, and so that's the way to go for this one. Then just a little bit of chest cleanup to put some of the stow some of the goodies we've been picking up that I'm not comfortable selling in our stash at the Site of Grace. Then I pop up from the Site of Grace, run over to the Anvil, and upgrade the Morning Star to the extent that I can, which is just once, I think. Now we're going to exit out of the church, heading to the southwest. We're going to go looking for another cave to explore here, another relatively easy one. And this one is for Box Quest, the little guy we saved from the bush earlier. He gave us a pile of shrooms, so he's our friend, and we're going to help him out. So continuing in that westerly, southish, whatever-ish direction, eventually we'll see a ramp heading down to the beach, and there's going to be a troll on it. And we know how to deal with trolls, so we'll take him out on the way down. And by we know how to take him out, I mean don't get too cocky in this game because, yeah, it never goes as smoothly as you planned, so this guy ends up hitting me a couple of times, but ultimately the same general tactic works. Hit him with high stance damage attacks on his legs, eventually he topples down and we can crit him. And those trolls are practically as much as taking down a boss in the early game, so it's always, if you get one on its own, it's usually worth stopping to kill them just to get the 1,000 runes that they drop. So we're going to head down that ramp, do a U-turn heading back to the southeasterly direction. There's some giant octopuses on the beach. We're going to ignore those. There's also kind of a glowing invisible scarab. It doesn't drop anything that's worth getting, so we're going to ignore it as well. But eventually, as you continue in that southeasterly direction, you'll see a pack of demi-humans, and they are guarding the entrance to the cave we are going into. We'll kill them in front of their house from the safety of horseback with just some sweeping heavy attacks from Torrent's back. Then turning towards the cliff face, we'll see a cave opening. We're going to head into that until we find a Site of Grace with our shroom dealer Bach sleeping next to it. He'll tell us he got beat up and we'll get beat up too, but he doesn't realize we're the bully in this game. We're going to take a nap at the Site of the Grace, and we're going to take care of his bully problem. Now, one thing I actually take the time to do here at this Site of Grace is I am going to add blue flask to my flask allotment. So using our Spirit Ashes is generally going to use... It's going to need a lot of our FP. So sometimes something in our Spirit Ashes is just going to burn through one blue flask. So having at least two in the early game is a pretty good idea anyway. So I make sure to do that at the Site of Grace here before journeying onward. guards. And now we're heading into the dark, and I really regret not buying the lantern in the Weeping Peninsula while I was down there. But I'm just going to soldier on and just keep tapping the lock-on button to see if I find anybody in the dark. And eventually I'll just lock on to some people in the dark here. They're just basic grunts. It doesn't take much to take them down. Just swing away with the weapon, and they'll be dead. Now here we have a boss fight coming up that is actually a multi-boss fight with ads. Before you go through that door, there is well, there isn't really a door, there's just an archway. But before it is a gold summon sign. We are actually going to summon this guy because he's going to help, along with our wolves, to draw some aggro from the crowd of characters who's in here. Old Knight Istvan, he's a pretty nice guy. It's a terrible shame what happens to him later. We're going to drink our physic flask. And then once he shows up, we're going to walk into the room with the fireplace there. And as soon as the little gravestone shows up, we're going to summon our Spirit Ash wolves. Over to the left are a couple demi-humans, and a larger one, which is one of the two bosses in the room. We're going to take out the goblins with a fire pot, and that'll get the bigger one interested in us. And it's a fairly standard recipe as the early bosses go. Once we have Stamp Upward Cut, we can just let our Spirit Ashes and our summon hold a little bit of aggro. We sneak in, hit him with Stamp Upward Cut until he's dead. And we do need to keep an eye on our FP, and I do need to drink a blue flask here because a lot of that got chewed up by summoning the Spirit Ashes. Once the first boss is down, we'll work our way a little bit deeper. There's a couple of smaller goblins and then another duplicate of the demi-human chief a little further in, and it's essentially the same deal. Spam the Ash of War till he's dead. Drink flasks as needed. There's a few stragglers to mop up after that point, but nothing too exciting. We did get box tailoring tools and a sewing needle as a reward for taking down these two demi-human bosses here. We aren't going to go back to Bach just yet. We're going to go deeper into the cave, and eventually it will tunnel under the water and bring us up on the other side on a wonderful, calm, peaceful island. There is a site of grace on the island. We're eventually going to go up to that and touch it. This is the site of one of the dragon communion temples. You can turn in dragon hearts to learn certain forms of dragon magic that are very handy. There's not that much to do here. I wander around a little bit, find some of the items. I think there's a smithing stone, a couple other things up here. Exalted flesh, which is kind of a consumable buff as well. But it's a pretty quiet, calm, peaceful place. Once I'm at the site of grace, I sit down, level up endurance, which gives me enough carry weight that I can now equip that hat I bought earlier, the iron helmet. It's alright. It's better than nothing at all. And then I just get up and explore the island to pick up the goodies that are scattered about there. This one up ahead here, this is the main thing to get on the island. This is Smithing Stone 2. At this point in the game, these are fairly uncommon, so make sure to get this while you're up on the Dragon Communion Island. But once I've picked that up, it's warp back to the entrance to the coastal cave and give Bach his things back.
What made my mum, and that's so I always want. Thank your very I always want. Thank your very I always want.
So after helping out Bach, we're going to warp back to the Castle Morn Rampart Site of Grace in the Weeping Peninsula, which is the one next to the merchant guy we bought our hat from. And we're going to go right up a hill and pick up some more upgrade material for our flasks. This is going to give us our first introduction to characters that have the Affliction of the Frenzied Flame. There's not really too much special they actually do here in this particular portion because of that. Some of them have spells that they cast you that'll cause madness build up. Generally speaking, they're not too tough here. It becomes more of a deal later on. But this is kind of a introductory, this is what madness is like section up here. Interestingly, the person who we met heading up to Castle Morn, there was like a lady asking us to give a letter to her father, if you remember that. She is heavily involved with the Madness questline as well. Don't know if there's an interrelation with this village here. Probably a lore video about it somewhere. But she's mighty close to this village, which is afflicted by madness. Interestingly. This is a keep, your fingers on the lock-on button here. The first thing we're going to run into are rats. Not too much of a big deal. I am probably going to just take a step back and let the ride up the hill commence for a little bit. Most of the enemies up here are nothing too special. They're kind of peasant guys. They're the commoners for the most part. Nothing too crazy, nothing too difficult. Isolate them one-on-one, swing your sword at them. You should be able to take them down at this point pretty easily. And I'll hop back on when we get closer to where the upgrade materials are. Alright, so we are now approaching the Ailing Village. There's a lot of commoners up here. Along the way, we've been making sure to pick up a lot of these craftable materials. Some of them, the Eye of Yellows, are kind of worth like 100 runes apiece, something like that. So worth picking up a lot of the crafting materials on the way here. But yeah, the villagers here do know some spells. You don't necessarily want to aggro them all at once. Try to take them down one at a time if you can. The usual rule for taking down packs of enemies. Isolate, take them down one at a time. When their eyes start glowing and it looks like they're kind of grabbing their heads and stuff, just run in and smash them. The spells they cast hurt quite a bit, but you can just get in there and kill them real quick and interrupt the spell. And jumping heavies work well against these guys to, well, one-shot them. Thankfully, for the most part, they're all so crazy that they don't really notice their friends getting murdered. Good for us. The items that we're looking for here are in a church that's infested with rats. We're, again, not going to want to aggro them all at once, so we're going to make sure to craft up our full supply of fire pots so we can kind of take them out from afar. There's a shield in one of the buildings here. Sell it? I mean, it probably shields as shields go, but, you know, we've already got a good shield, so we don't much need this one. So it is a little bit helpful to clear out the rats around the outside of the church before you go in. You just don't want to get, like, sneak attacked by one of them while you're taking out the main group inside. So clearing some of them out, picking up the bright red flowers, or eyes of yellow, because that's crazy, and this is a crazy area. So yeah, kill rats, pick up crafting materials. Yeah. And I almost forget, there is a site of grace in the area here. I'm just going to tag it, not going to rest at it, don't want to reset the area. So we'll just be able to warp back here later if we ever need to. We won't need to warp back here later, but it's there just in case we die. Alright, so the church proper has a bunch of small rats, one big rat. Small rats are only hard if they gang up on you, so take them out with the fire pots. And if the big rat comes at you, kill it with fire pots. Then if you're feeling like a boss, you just take out the last rat with stamp upward cut because you can. Aside from that, though, in this church there is one frenzied flame incantation, and at the base of the Margit statue is a sacred tear to upgrade the amount that our flasks restore. But we're getting north of the 30-minute mark, so that's kind of where I'm going to wrap up this episode. Just going to grab a few more crafting materials in the area, then we're going to warp back to that Castle Morn Rampart by the merchant, and we will pick it up there in the next episode. Hope this is helping you out if you're having a rough go early in the game, or if you just find it fun and soothing to listen to my old man voice. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying it. Bye, and see you next time. You hear me next time.